But a lot of people, that's their story. Good times, Noodle Salad.
Sound okay? Let me know if I need to move forward or back.
I can't tell. We're plugged into the laptop.
Hello. Okay. No, I know. I'm saying like...
You're not clipping right
okay.
now. It's just... Whatever. A fist away.
Yep.
All right. So last episode, I proposed a challenge that you create a track in the style of Anika Nilles.
Yes.
And so we're going to open up, rip that Band-Aid off right away, listen to that track.
Yeah.
I'll react to it as we listen to it.
Okay.
So, okay. All right. Here we go.
Let's go for it.
What do you... This is called Plenty?
Yes.
Okay. This is the first episode I didn't start off taking a shot of vodka with. As I open them. Hard Mountain Dew. Soundscapey. I like it.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the Fruity Loops pads we used to make songs with.
You wanted like jazz fusion, sort of R&B-ish, so I try to throw in like R&B style chords too, periodically.
I like the chords a lot.
But cool.
I like the chords a lot.
There is a little piano does kick in at some point. Give it a little bit of a change.
That section, those last 4 bars, that was the first time where it felt like you got into the pocket in the drums.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's throwing me off. There's a thing that drummers do when you like fall out of the pocket, where you give yourself a break, and then you can get right back into the pocket in one beat. And that's what it's like. Like, you know, as a guitar player, if you like mess up a riff, you'll stutter. You'll go like if your riff was like, it's hard to like imagine a riff while listening to a song. But if you have a riff and you miss a part, your brain can't go, that's the note I missed, and this is where I should be.
Yeah.
So you'll like you'll stutter and you'll start over.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
Especially
sure.
when you're practicing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's that break beat that you're doing in the drums that you program. That reminds me of the drummer version of that, which is you wait a beat and you can get back on time.
Right.
But it's interesting. Like it's okay. So there's 15 seconds left, so that's just sounds.
Yeah,
good
it's done. It's just an outro. Yeah.
Yeah. So Okay, check to check.
Hello. Oh, it sounds good. I can hear myself. That's good.
Yeah. So I love the chords.
Yeah.
The chords seem unsettling, but like focused and driven.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like it reminds me almost of like if there was like a thriller, like a research montage in a thriller.
Yeah.
Like if someone was trying to figure out what to do next and they're like going through their clues or whatever. That's what that song gives me the vibe of.
Interesting. That's a really different take than what I was feeling writing that.
I like it. I like
cool.
It feels driven and mysterious.
Yeah. There's supposed to be a level of mysteriousness in there, but it's only because I wanted to do R&B chords, but I didn't want it to sound like you know me. I don't want it to sound like the typical R&B, chord progressions and stuff. So there's some slightly diminished stuff in there and whatever. As far as the drums, I know you're kind of like iffy about the drums. The drums are kind of just
Well, so
yeah, I want to hear your take on the drums actually.
like I was saying, there's this trick that acoustic drummers use.
Yeah.
If I get lost if I lose my pocket, I lose the beat.
Yeah.
I can give myself a break, find the pocket again by listening to what's going on with the rest of the band, and get back on within like one beat.
Yeah.
And so like every drummer is going to know that trick.
Yeah.
And most musicians that aren't drummers wouldn't even pick up on it if it happened. Or another reason you would use that is if you drop a stick.
Right.
Or you like miss a hit and it throws you off.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing stuff like you go into like a triplet and for some reason, like if you're counting in like 4/4 or whatever, if you're in a time signature that doesn't have to resolve over several measures, if you throw in a triplet, it can throw you off. It'll throw you off because you get into the vibe of like something that resolves every 4 beats instead of every like 3 or 4 measures.
Yeah.
And that's where like jazz likes to play, is like you get to play with the if you have a spacing of 16 bars.
Yeah.
All right, well, how many different ways can I divide 16 bars up? You know what I mean?
Right.
So you can play with that.
Yeah.
But so anyway, by the what was that, like the 8th measure, you fall into the
Well, the track is in 6/8, so it would make sense that by the 8th measure it would you finally go, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. So you fall
6/8. But what I did is, so it's in 6/8, but the drum changes up every 4 bars. So it goes from a straight on 6/8 beat to like it's still 6/8, but a little bit more of a scattered jazzy kind of experimental beat.
Yeah. Well,
and then
so the programmed the drum rolls that you did sound natural.
Yeah.
That was. Are those pre-programmed, or did you actually have to manually input those?
No, I'm not. I mean, they're sort of pre-programmed. There's.
I'm popping.
So what you do is you basically.
Those are pre-programmed.
Sort of,
drum rolls?
yes.
And
I'll
then
just
you can
say
modulate
this,
the volumes or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. You can just
accents.
you can modulate some things. I didn't do it too much. I didn't do too much because I really liked when I found a beat, or found a pattern that worked, because the way it works is like the software has, options, right? You can select a style, you can select kind of like where you want it to go. You kind of select the craziness of it, the complexity of it, the loudness of it. You have all these options, right? Anybody that's used any kind of recording software and has used like, I don't know, drummer, what do they call that? I don't know, like a pack or something that produces drum beats. They'll know what they'll already be keen to it and understand it. And you probably know too. It's not too far off from like using softwares that we probably have used in the past. But so what you do is what I do with the drums is I find the pocket. I just basically create a MIDI section, throw down like basically a pre-created whatever beat, and I find one that's going to jive with the track. And then I go, all right, how complex do I want it? How loud do I want it? What part of the drums do I want it to play on? You know what I mean? Do I want it hi-hat? Do I want it cymbals in this part? You know, like you can make some adjustments. Now, you can also put that in like a piano roll or like a MIDI. You can like expand on the MIDI roll and make all the changes you want to it. I didn't do all that. I didn't get like too crazy with it because I'm not a drummer. So I was like, I kind of like what's going on here. Mm-hmm. So with the little bit of fine tuning I did do, I was like, this is cool enough, you know? Yeah. And then also finding the loudness and finding the correct like balance for that track, because it is kind of a chill, laid back track, was the most difficult part. Obviously I emailed you 2 versions. The first version, the drums are way too in the forefront. They're not too in the forefront, but the loudness, like on the snare and the kick, was so intense that like it totally ruined the track. So I had to modify all that, right? And then like dial it back. So, and then you can also dampen those features. So like you can you can literally program it as if you were drumming it. Like, so you can program the feel. You can program dampening the crashes, the snare, the kick. Mm-hmm. You can increase the gain. You can increase the hit. There is a lot of that goes into it. And I did all that stuff too to make it pop and really come to life a little bit.
Yeah.
And then also allowing the snare to not be a insane crack because it is jazz, right? But I also didn't want it to sound like it's played with brushes. So finding that that balance was like...
I liked it. Sounded like there was a trick that I would use when I would tune my drums. I would tune my drums to the I would tune my snare to where like a drum dial would call for it on a certain amount of tension on the head.
Yeah.
And then I would take one of my lugs and back it out completely.
Yeah.
And just make that super loose, and it'd put a wrinkle in the head, and that would make a really soft snare sound.
Yeah.
So if I wanted a soft snare, that, and then if I wanted to tune back up for the next song, I just spin my key on the one lug, and then I can get back to my
that's
truly
a good
tuned
idea.
snare.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all you have to do is turn the snare off, and just you can find
that's
your
another
note
too
again.
is you can tune all the instruments, which is really cool too. Like you can actually tune the snare, tune the kick, and I did all that stuff too to like.
Yeah.
Just because, and like I
said,
in
I'm jazz, you tune your drums in jazz.
Yeah.
You tune them to whatever key you're playing in. And
yeah. I mean,
it sounded good. It's one of the things that I picked up on is there's like this, so it all sounds playable.
Yeah.
It all sounds playable. There's a pattern that guitar players and piano players kind of go to, like you can pick up like, oh, you're hitting your E string.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so like, even though the song might be like doom 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 doom, you know what I mean? It can be complex, but there's a pattern where you hit that E string, doom doom, right? So like in my mind, I hear that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's usually the lower notes for guitar players and piano players.
Yeah.